How's it going, everybody? It's me, Zach, aka Jazzy Zen here, bringing you another video on Mono Red. But today it's going to be a little bit different because today I'm going to give you a guide on how to actually play Mono Red better so that you can get better ranks. With the deck you see here, I recently got rank 26, I think, in Mythic, and I think a lot of people have similar lists but don't get quite the success that I do. So I wanted to break down Mono Red in a little bit of a series of videos to try and help you understand how to play, to get a better grasp of why Mono Red can be so strong, and to help you succeed more on ladder. To do this, I made a PowerPoint and I'm going to take you through some key points. Today is going to be a more basic video where I'm going to kind of guide your thinking about how to play as a Mono Red aggro player. And I think a lot of people at first will think, oh, it's just Mono Red, you go face, that's it. But I think it's a lot more nuanced than that, and there's so many subtle decisions that you make that really makes it so complex and very hard to pilot if you're not thinking about every single thing you do. Just one point of misdamage can completely throw the whole game, and this guide is kind of trying to help you understand that and how to guide your thinking to win as many games as possible. So without further ado, let's hop in to that PowerPoint. So like I said before, this video is going to be focused on how to win as Mono Red, and this first episode is going to deal with how we think about Mono Red and how that can help us win more games. So let's dive into this PowerPoint. And the first question I want to ask is, how exactly do you win with Mono Red? What is the strength of Mono Red compared to other decks? Well, I think the easy answer might be you go face, you use Embercleave on an Annex and with a Torbrand, or as I like to call it, Torbsco, and you kind of just go super aggressive. Well, I think this is a decent answer, and it kind of covers the good cards in the deck. I think it doesn't focus on the meta surrounding Mono Red and why Mono Red can be so successful. So, what makes Mono Red so successful? Well, I think it has to deal with the current meta right now. So many of the decks that are the top tier ones all run so many different tapped lands. They have to fix their mana certain ways, and that really leaves them open to a lot of early aggression, to where Mono Red with its hasted creatures can just get in really quick and then put them at a disadvantage early on, to where they have to cling back at the whole game. And this really stems from the amount of low mana costed creatures that we can use and how fast they can get in and deal a lot of damage. And it just so happens that powerful cards like Annex, Torbrand, and Embercleave all benefit off of having many small low to the ground creatures that can either reduce Embercleave's cost, it can buff Annex attack power so that he can get bigger with Embercleave, or Torbrand just makes them turn to an explosive field. And this is really where the deck differs from a lot of other ones, because it has so many low cards that just have to synergize together, that it makes it a really fun experience and a very fast gameplay style. Okay, so now we kind of understand the role of Mono Red and how we're a counter to these ramp decks, and we need to get in when we can to put the pressure on our opponent. So how does this help you as a player? Well, many resources online, when you look up a deck and how to play it, perhaps, they just give you a deck list and they expect you to know how to win with it. And there's the expectation and the reputation of Mono Red to being a low IQ deck. You just go face and you should win. And while I do agree to a certain extent that you are going face and you're smashing that spacebar sometimes, it just quite isn't that simple. Knowing how your deck plays and against the different decks will actually give you a plan, and you can execute that plan on different opponents to win in different ways. And this understanding of the differences between decks can really help you win more, and it does often change up your gameplay style from game to game, which makes it a more engaging deck to play. And this leads into the next skill that you're going to need when you want to win more with Mono Red, is knowing the matchups, knowing what to do against certain decks to punish them as best as you can. So what I've done is I have put on this next slide a little bit of notes. These notes will hopefully help you understand on a simple level, what you should be doing against the current meta decks. With the Omnath Ramp and Omnath Adventure, you want to take advantage of their really slow early game. They often play a lot of tap lands, and they're open for about 1 or 2 turns. And you really want to get in as much pressure as you can in those early steps to where they have to start dealing with your board. With the Rogues, it's a little more difficult because they have really good blockers against mono red, and they come in at flash speed, so they can just interrupt your attacks when you're thinking about it and often kill your creatures. But if you're prepared for that, you can use your Rimrock Knights to buff up your creatures to push through them. You can always pressure with Robber of the Rich because they have no flash blockers that are really good against him, and you can still steal their cards if you have the hand disadvantage. And you really want to keep a blocker around 4 mana for the Rogues, because you don't want to let one get through and then they get to flash in their guy that steals your cards from your graveyards. I've lost many a games to my own Embercleave being put on a Rogue. It's very annoying. Recently, after the rotation, Rakdos midrange has been popping up a lot, and you want to use your new Spikefield Hazard to exile Croxus when they ETB. That's so far really my only counter to that deck. I really have a hard time with that one, and it's something I'm still working on personally. With mono red, your greatest skill that you can have is knowing when to trade. You need to know how your own deck wins, and you need to use that against your opponent. So for example, if they have 2 creatures and they're about to play their 4th mana, sometime in between then, you need to either kill a creature or have a really good block against the Embercleave, because you need to expect these things to be able to take the W. And you need to be able to use your life as a resource. Going down really low against mono red is sometimes the best thing you can do, because they'll feel like, if I get Embercleave in now, I win. But usually that takes them attacking with all their creatures, and you can get in with a crackback and usually win if you have prepared your field properly. With green, oh, do I hate mono green. Green is one of the harder matchups. Dealing with the Lovestruck Beasts being a 5/5 is possibly the most annoying thing in the world, but all you have to do is be patient. You need to build your board, get an Annex, and get in with an Embercleave. That's basically the only way you win that matchup, because all of their creatures are so overstated, the red creatures can't compete. Need a little bit of help. With that said, you do want to know when to trade with that deck as well. Getting rid of a 5/5 early can really help you push in the pressure that you need to win the game. And yeah, that about wraps up this early kind of explanation of mono red for now. I plan to do maybe a sideboard guide later on, and then break up the most important matchups in a more analytical method. But yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this kind of content. I hope to do this more with other decks once I get more used to them. I'm having a lot of fun playing Rogues as well, because they are kind of aggressive and control-y. It's a very fun mesh of gameplay styles, so that will probably be my next guide after this mono red guide is complete. Now, before I get back to grinding out the ladder, I just want to say, if you have any questions, feel free to come check me out on Twitch and ask away. I stream every Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. And if you want to follow me on Twitter, then you can find out if I'm going to be late or I'm absent or something like that. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and I really appreciate it. See ya.